Building units is the main gameplay element of Halo Wars. But what if we didn't do that? In this video, I'll be doing exactly that. I'll be tackling the Halo Wars campaign on Legendary difficulty with no skulls, glitches, or exploits, and attempting to beat it without building a single unit. How far can we go? Is it even possible? Let's find out together on Can You Beat Halo Wars Without Building Units? We're kicking off this challenge with Relic approach. Since missions Alpha Base and Relic Interior don't let you actually build any units, they're excluded from this challenge. The mission throws us into a quick tutorial: build a base, build a supply pad, build a barracks, and train 5 marines. Wait, no, the challenge is impossible! I'm just kidding. This is where I add an extra rule to the challenge. I can only build units when the game requires it. With that rule in place, we can build the required marines and move on. I moved forward swiftly, clearing out the Covenant on this Pelican pad for some extra units, along with sending my marines through this force field, which only infantry can pass through. This mission has additional units we can grab at these locations. I focus on clearing out the Covenant's hangar. For as long as this hangar lives, spirit dropships will come to our base and attack us. Now it's time to attack the Covenant's base. Normally the game expects you to attack it head on from underneath, but instead we're going to attack it from behind. This lets us destroy the base with minimal retaliation. The Covenant will send spirit dropships to prevent our assault. We just need to make sure we clear the Covenant forces each time they are dropped from these spirits. That way we don't lose too many units. With the Covenant's base destroyed, we then go save the last group of UNSC units for the final push. The final part of this mission requires careful execution. We will clear Covenant forces slowly, retreat when needed, and use the heal and repair ability to keep our units alive. This hit and heal strategy will get us to the detonator. Once there, we will focus fire on it. As long as we preserve enough units at this point, we should have enough firepower to destroy it. With the detonator destroyed, we complete our first mission without technically building any units. Let's move on to mission 4, Arcadia City. Thankfully, on this mission, we get 4 Hornets and a Forge Warhawk. This gives us a nice variety of units, with the Hornets handling vehicles and infantry, while Forge takes care of the anti-air, aka vampires. These vampires are a real threat to our Hornets, so we need to keep our Hornets away from them. If we lose Forge or any of the Hornets, it's a reset. Unless we're like close to the 20 minutes timer end, which I'll try to scrap by with the resources we have. Which, by the way, Arcadia City is a 20-minute auto-scroller. We'll try our best to keep both planes alive, though plane 3 will always die on this mission. Having both planes alive give us some leeway, and near the end, the Covenant builds a mega turret. Hopefully, it targets our second base next to their base. If not, it could target one of these planes, and with only one plane left, it'll be a mission over. But with both planes intact, we have room for error. I always make sure to use the heal and repair abilities on our units and planes whenever possible. We'll also grab the Wingman upgrade, which has marines with shotguns to the sides of the Hornets for extra damage, and Chief Pop upgrades, which improve missile avoidance. To be honest, I'm not sure how much this helps, but since we're not spending our supplies elsewhere, I'll grab it anyways. I also invest in upgrading leader powers and turrets, since large turrets are OP and can keep our base safe from Covenant attacks. Most of my time is spent moving my army back and forth between these 2 planes, clearing Covenant forces and waiting for the final minute. When the timer hits 1 minute, the mega turret starts firing and thankfully it targets our second base. Fortunately, our base can easily tank the damage without any issue. Once the timer is over, the mission ends. This brings us to Arcadia outskirts. Our priority is to rush for the crater as fast as possible. We can't afford to lose a Scorpion at the start, or it's a reset. The Scorpion is essential for clearing out the Covenant forces. I take my time clearing the crater, making sure not to lose any units. There is a brief window where the turret is under construction, allowing us to deal significant damage to it. The mega turret is our biggest threat on this mission. One thing that's really nice about this mission is we do get reinforcements from Angel. Once the mega turret is destroyed, all we have to do is wait on this mission. Yep, that's right, this is the second auto-scroller mission in the challenge. We need to just wait until Omega Team arrives. Once Omega Team arrives, we will use them and Red Team to clear out the Covenant space, which moves us onto Dome of Light. The goal of this mission is to get 5 Rhinos to 5 different locations. If any Rhino is destroyed, we will have to restart the mission, so we need to be very careful. I will be using the Pelican's ability for moving the Rhinos to locations 3, 4, and 5. I'll position my 3 Spartans and Forge at location 2, before the first Rhino reaches location 1. This setup I have with the Spartans and Forge prevents the 3rd Covenant turret from firing. Only the front 2 Covenant turrets will be able to attack Alice, and she is very likely to die here, which is fine. We don't care. Douglas will focus on damaging the turrets. If we move him after each attack, it'll reset his animation, letting him attack faster, which equals more damage. Once the 2 Covenant turrets are destroyed, I'll focus on the 2 Covenant barracks that are under construction. While in construction, they are very easily destroyed, and we need to destroy these 2 buildings before construction is completed, or it's another mission reset. After destroying the 2 barracks, we'll eliminate the last Covenant turret, and clear out a hunter that is dropped from a spirit dropship. Now we'll move to Rhino 1, where a whole bunch of spirit dropships are continuously dropping reinforcements. We need to clear them out quickly before they drop their load on us. At the same time, Rhino 3 will deal with the grunts and ghosts. Once Rhino 3 has cleared out its location, it is showtime. When Rhino 3 is in position, 4 Covenant buildings are under construction. 2 of them are located at location 4, 1 of them is at location 5, and the last one is between locations 4 and 5. During this cutscene, the Spartans and Forge are destroying their respective Covenant buildings. We will then move Forge to destroy the last Covenant building. When Forge moves past the turrets, he has gained vision of the area, allowing their locusts to attack the turrets safely. After clearing location 4, I'll use a Pelican to transport Rhino 4 to that location, and I'll do the same thing for Rhino 5. Once Rhino 5 reaches location 5, the mission will complete. We move on to mission 7, Scarab. Time is of the essence. The longer we take to destroy the Scarab, the harder the mission gets. There are 7 power nodes on this mission, but we will only be taking out 4 of them, since there isn't much Covenant defending these power nodes. The other 3? Way too many hunters and locusts, which makes it impossible for us to take them out. Upgrades are key. The Scorpion will get the canister shell upgrade, which is a big nuke ability that does massive damage. And a second upgrade will be the power turret upgrade for faster turret rotation, which helps a lot. While the Warhawk will get the Grenadier and Gauss Cannon for extra firepower. We'll need every bit of damage we can get. The best way I found out to clear out the power nodes is a zigzag route. This will give us max efficiency. First power node I will clear out is the one next to our base. Then I'll take our Scorpion from that power node and move it across to handle the next power node and to clear out this locust. At this power node, Forge can actually handle it solo. The strategy to doing that is all you have to do is just click on the node and then away. This will cause him to go in a circle motion, which will allow him to destroy this node without retaliation. Here's the plan to defeating the Scarab. We'll park in the upper left corner for 2 reasons. First, Banshees and Engineers spawn from the left side. Banshees hit hard, and Engineers will heal the Scarab, which we cannot let happen. Second, right of the Scarab, there's a ton of Hunters and Locusts. So if we move too far right of the Scarab, we will actually aggro these units. Now, since we have solo damage and the Scarab has so much health, this mission is a very long mission, which gives us a lot of time to make mistakes. Throughout the assault, I wasn't able to handle all the Banshees attacking my units, which causes me to retreat. I decided to pop in heal and repair here to heal up my units. Then they destroy my Warhawk. Cool, that sucks. The Scarab is at 40% health. Instead of restarting, I decided to just push through and still beat the mission. During all this insulting of the Scarab, the Covenant has been sending wave after wave to my base. I decided to build a barracks to upgrade my Marines for defense. I moved Force through the laser beam to distract the Scarab, so my Scorpion can focus on the Scarab. And you know what Force does best? Die. Yeah, he died. Expected. I just knew it was going to happen eventually. Now, it's up to my Scorpion to finish the job. But I made a mistake here. There was not enough space for my Scorpion, and he died. That's my main assault team. My entire assault team is dead. I started freaking out. I didn't know what to do at this moment. I decided to check my base. I'm like, maybe I can salvage this. And I see my Marines have 3 stars. And I was getting all these upgrades for the Marines. Then an idea struck my mind. Maybe, just maybe, I can clutch this with using their RPG ability, Mac Blast, and Forge. It might just be enough. So I decide to send my Marines up to the Scarab. I get some damage in with my Marines. And then I make another mistake. My Marines get targeted with the laser beam, and unfortunately one of them dies. My plan is falling apart fast, and I'm like, dude, the Scarab is almost dead. It's so low on health. Maybe, just maybe, I can still get there. I spam Forge's shotgun ability, I spam the Marine's ability, I use the Mac Blast whenever I can, and eventually, just eventually, and boom, it was actually enough. Let's go! We actually salvaged this into a win. At the start of the mission, we are designed to build an army and assault the brutes head on. But without an army, how are we going to still assault the brutes? The answer is actually easy and very simple. Forge. Yep, that's all we need. Mission's over. Nah, I'm just kidding. Let me go actually go in detail. Instead of doing his go-to thing of dying like normal, he's actually going to be our hero and save the day. The one and only Forge. We'll move Forge to this location, where we'll bait out brutes and move them to this location one by one and use our Blaster Raster ability. I actually have no idea what his special ability is called, but that's what I'm calling it, Blaster Raster. I'll keep doing this until Red Team decides to help us. Once they actually do decide to help us, the entire mission becomes a cakewalk. One thing I do want to mention is there are ODSTs on this map you can actually rescue, but they're not needed. Red Team is more than enough to finish the mission. Once the brutes have been cleared out, our objective changes to rescuing the 2 elephants. I will move our Spartans to the top elephant first, clear it out, then move to the second one. Once both elephants have been rescued, we'll escort them back to base. Honestly, this mission is free with Red Team doing all the work. Now, onto another easy mission, the Flood. Red Team starts pinned down and needs to be rescued. Our objective is to destroy the main Flood base, but luckily we get these 3 upgraded elephants, which are surprisingly really strong. We'll use them to clear the way and save Red Team. On the way, I will take out this mini Flood base, since destroying them weakens the main Flood base. Of course, the Flood does what it does best, refusing to stay dead. So after some time, these bases will eventually respawn. With Red Team rescued and our elephants at our disposal, we have more than enough firepower to wipe out the Flood defenses. I'll destroy the nearby Flood base next to the location of Red Team where we saved them, and then move on to another Flood base on the right side. Once both Flood bases are destroyed, I'll drop a carpet bomb on the main Flood base to deal massive damage, setting up our final assault. We push through, vanquish the main Flood base, and that's a wrap for this mission. We start with a small group of units, 2 Hornets, 2 Scorpions, 1 Marine, and 1 Flamethrower. The Hornets and Flamethrower are pretty useless on this mission. The Flood turrets shred air units, and the Flamethrower can't hit air, and it just dies. However, the Marine's actually useful because we can actually garrison in the nearby Forerunner reactor, which gives us an extra tech level, and the Marines can also hit the air units. This is huge since our plan is to rush upgrades for our Scorpions, and we need a tech level of 3 to unlock the canister shell ability, which will be our main source of firepower. This mission is on the timer, and every second counts. We'll also get a gremlin on this mission. It's pretty useless in combat. Instead, I just send it to disrupt the first pylon, which gives us a whole extra 5 minutes on the timer. Super helpful. The 3 rescue locations on this mission: Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Alpha gets overrun before we can save them, which actually makes things easier for us. Now we only need to worry about Bravo and Charlie. We go for Charlie first for 2 main reasons. First, rescuing Charlie gives us Red Team, making Bravo way easier to clear. Second, it lets us approach Bravo from the back, avoiding the front entrance, which is swarming with those damn Flood birds. Bro, these things are like the most overpowered thing in the entire game. Way more overpowered than Hunters, which is insane because Hunters are already broken enough. What we're going to do is we're going to run through Charlie, get to the back of it, and then we're going to spam our canister shell ability on the Flood units and then run back. We will keep repeating this until Charlie falls. I will also drop a carpet bomb on this area to thin out the birds because there's so many of them. By repeating this process, we eventually clear out Charlie and gain Red Team to help us. Then we turn our focus to Bravo. With our Scorpions and Red Team, Bravo isn't actually super difficult to clear out. I do still stay cautious though, and avoid moving too far right because there's a massive swarm of birds. And with the Flood turrets shooting at us is a death sentence. I'll carefully clear out the Flood turrets until, of course, I accidentally pulled the birds. Of course I did that. Well, now I have to actually deal with them. With the flood turrets. I'll use the Spartans as bait while the Scorpions take out the remaining turrets. I drop a cryo bomb on the birds because fuck them, that's why. After clearing Bravo, we need to escort them back to base. This happens whenever it's the last zone to be cleared out, which in this case it's the Bravo team. This should be easy though, since we already cleared out the path from Bravo back to our base. I'll leave my Scorpions behind the Bravo team to make sure no flood units actually attack the Bravo units. With Bravo team making back safely, we can actually wrap up Shield World and move on to cleansing. I never knew this before doing this challenge, but at the start of the mission, units are actually automatically queued up to be trained. Turns out it's a Hornet and 2 flamethrowers that are being built right away, and I can't let that happen on my watch. This leaves us with no air units to clear the sides of the Spirit of the Fire. So, how do we actually clear the flood on the side of the ship? Well, if you actually take long enough on this mission, Captain Cutter actually gives you 2 vultures. Until those vultures do arrive, we only can do so much. We have to focus on clearing the flood on top of the Spirit of Fire. The key objective is to at least have 1 airlock alive. If they're all destroyed, it's actually mission over. As we know, the flood doesn't stay dead. That's where this mission's gimmick comes into play. Once the timer reaches 0, a wave of energy comes through, clearing out all flood life that is killed. This is how we clean the Spirit of Fire of the flood. Now, we also take damage as well, so that's something to keep in mind, and the airlocks. Eventually, Captain Cutter gives us 2 vultures, and I immediately lose one. I really wasn't paying attention, and it just kinda died. Well, at least I still got 1 left. I somehow turned this easy mission into a very losable mission. Now, I only have 1 vulture left to clear the side of the Spirit of the Fire. Worst case scenario, we can always use the carpet bomb ability to take out the flood structure, but that just sounds very annoying to deal with. Once this next wave comes in, it should clear the ship of all the flood. And it looks like it did that. Honestly, this mission is very straightforward and wasn't difficult. Probably actually the easiest mission of the challenge. This mission, usually straightforward and easy, turned out to be the hardest of the entire challenge. At one point, I almost thought this challenge was impossible. I spent hours trying different strategies, spamming heal and repair as fast as I can, upgrading the turrets to anti-air to deal with the spirit dropships, and saving supplies for cover bombs against the hunters. But ironically, the strategy I least expected to work ended up being the one that actually did it. Instead of constantly using the heal and repair at the start, I actually prioritized building as many turrets as possible with our limited amount of supply. I would also upgrade all these turrets with the anti-infantry upgrade. My 2 Wolverines that we were given at the start, I make sure they stand back at the core to protect the Cyclops and the core from air units, while I'll position my infantry in the middle, and finally my 2 Hawks on the far end of the map. Whenever I use the heal and repair ability on the core, I made sure my Cyclops and 2 Wolverines were in the circle as well, making sure they didn't get whittled down. Now, this does actually reduce the rate of the heal and repair. More units you have in a circle, that base healing that is provided is actually divided among the units. Occasionally, I'll also move my Hawks into the heal zone to keep them from getting destroyed. With spirit dropships constantly coming in, I focus on clearing out the hunters and locusts that are dropped from these spirits. I only target the spirit dropships near the core, since any units laying there would do too much damage for us to recover. Not sure if I got lucky RNG, but this run felt like there were fewer Covenant units attacking at once. With everything happening at once, I lost track of what was attacking what and just hoped my units were all targeting correctly. Eventually my Hawks hit 3 stars, making them strong enough to handle most threats. I had to ensure I didn't lose any units except my Marines, because we were already struggling to hold the Covenant back. This repair mission took a total of 13 minutes, but during that attempt it felt like a whole 30 minutes. And with just that, we beat the hardest mission of the challenge. The mission that once felt impossible just became possible. The objective for mission 13, Beachhead, is very straightforward. It's to claim all 4 bases and control them at the same time. Our army that we're given for this mission is 4 ODSTs, 1 flamethrower, forge, and red team, which is more than enough firepower to wipe out the first Covenant base. There is a locust that does protect the first Covenant base. To counter this, we will actually send one of our Spartans in first to tank the locust's damage. Then, whichever Spartan is closer to that locust will hijack it. From there, we can blast through this base and build our first base. Now onto the second base. Instead of attacking right away, we'll actually walk past it with our Spartans. Just beyond the second base, there's a Scarab that the Covenant left behind, which is our ticket to victory. But first, we need to clear the nearby flood to gain access. Once they're dealt with, one Spartan hijacks the Scarab, and from here, it's all about patience. Now the second base is quite easy to actually destroy. Since we're already past it and we have already claimed the Scarab, we can just do a sneak attack from behind, and with the firepower from our Scarab, these Covenant's bases stand no chance. Now with the third base, it gets a lot more complicated. I spent a total of 48 minutes on this mission, and most of the time was shooting this base with vision range by going in and out of their vision, but surely clearing out the Covenant one by one. I won't be showing all the cheats I did to beat this mission, but if you do want to see all that though, do go check out my VOD channel where I upload the full run of these strategies. Once we destroy the third Covenant's base and claim it for ourselves, we have one more base to destroy. The last Covenant's base is different from all the other ones, for there is a boss battle and we must defeat this other Scarab. Once it's weak enough, my Scarab will move in and finish it. With that Scarab down, we push forward and destroy the last Covenant base. Then, once the fourth base spot becomes available, we will build it. Even if it's just for a second, we now control all 4 bases. And that concludes this mission. Just 2 more missions to go. Our objective is to get the reactor to the top of the level. And the only way to do that is by building an elephant. Once the elephant is ready, I can research the twin engine upgrade. This boosts its speed by 30%, which is huge and makes this mission way easier. Once the elephant is built, I'll actually start moving my army up the ramp. As we push up the hill, I'll drop a Mac Blast on these hunters. Why? Because fuck them, that's why. For the final stretch, I'll keep the elephant near the ramp while my army stays closer to the Covenant's base. This way they take the heat, while the elephant avoids unnecessary damage. I make a final rush for it, and with some quick movement, we will successfully escort the reactor to the top of the level. Onto the final mission. As always, the final mission, Escape, is a very complicated mission with many moving parts. Right away we get hit with a flood wave, and I can't afford to lose any ODSTs or have a Spartan go down. If that does happen, it's a reset on the mission. Once we clear the first wave, a second flood wave will come in, and after dealing with that wave, I will send my ODSTs to the Forerunner supply elevators for some extra resources and to make sure they are in cover for additional defense, since we will need to use the ODSTs later in the mission. Now onto the main objective, unlocking all the interlocks. We have to activate them on both sides, but if any Covenant or Flood are nearby, they'll close and we won't be able to open them in the first place. That means we need to secure the hardest ones first. If we take too long, the Covenant will build too many units, making it impossible to unlock this interlock. Another key reason is there is a mega turret above the Covenant base here. I can actually put an ODST in that mega turret and use the ability to clear out enemies. Once 2A is open, I'll use the Pelican transport to move my Spartans. This leader power is crucial on this mission, allowing us to zip zap around the map, making things way easier. I'll drop them at the bottom half of this interlock, since there is a Scarab that's up north that could destroy the Pelican mid-fight, instantly killing my units. Next up is the 3B interlock. Since it's close by to the one we just unlocked, and can also get swarmed by hunters later in the mission, I'll use the transport ability to get my Spartans here as fast as possible, and I was actually able to open up this interlock pretty quickly. I will then use more leader powers in the mega turret to clear out the flood at the 3A interlock, since there is a ton of flood at this area. With that, the second group of interlocks is done. Now we just have 1A and 1B interlocks left. I transport red team to the 1B interlock up north, and by the time they arrive, our leader powers are once again off cooldown. I'll use my offensive leader powers here to clear out the flood, and when the Spartans get dropped off by the Pelican, they're almost instantly able to unlock the interlock. Then, the last move, I send my ODST from the supply elevator to activate the 1A interlock. And just like that, it's done. A challenge I thought was impossible is actually possible. You can beat Halo Wars on legendary difficulty without building units. Well, aside from the required ones, but we're not counting that. Until next time, this is MagicalGarrn, signing off.